I guess from necessity. When we first got into the business, we were producing movies, TV commercials, and the laboratories were not terribly consistent. And so we got a very big commercial to do. It was a whole series of commercials for the Star Weekly. There were 4 different producers were chosen. And at the end of the 13-week trial period, they called Sue and I in and they say, we really prefer your work. Do you think you could make a commercial every week? In doing this, one needed very, very tight color control. And so we decided the best way to do this was to make a test chart. So that was the origin of DSC test charts. And we used to shoot the chart in the commercial, and then I would say to the lab, you do not time it, you just put this through at one light, and we had really, our shooting control was so tight that they never changed a light unless we specifically asked for it. And so that is how we got into the test pattern business. Then other people saw the benefits, and it grew.
We were a service company for many years. The test patterns were sort of in the background.
Yes.
We went through all sorts of things.
We invented a number of things. We invented the soft edge masking, which became a huge rage during the, I guess during the 80s, where previously you had three projectors in a slideshow. And we came up with putting another projector in between those two and fading from one to the next so that you had these great long panoramas. And I guess the biggest show we did was Ronald Reagan's Inauguration, which they had 12 screens, 9 projectors on each screen. So in the banquet, and so they had 108 projectors, all synchronized. Test charts were sort of in the background. And then when film started to die, we said, well, we're going to retire or continue. So we then started expanding on the test patterns, which are now, we have them even flying around on the space station, so they're become very popular. We originally got into the test chart business with the CBC. We provide BBC and NBC, ABC, CBS, virtually everyone, you know, NASA, the White House, the US Department of Defense, an enormous variety of people. You'd be surprised at the number of people. Now we're getting into a lot of security, because in the security world, color and accurate color is really far more important than the movie business and TV. Also medicine, we're getting into medicine. It has changed dramatically in that originally 90% of our customers were wanting to align their cameras.
Well, it was an engineering tool.
It was an engineering tool. And then this, it was difficult at first because every camera manufacturer would say, oh, our cameras don't need test charts. Now we actually make test charts for Sony and for other Red camera and others. I would say and the industry isn't going to like this, but largely the abandonment of traditional instrumentation, the vectorscopes and the waveforms and so on. They are not teaching this now in many colleges and schools.
Did you know that?
So we have come up with other systems to accommodate this. The biggest change was all test charts when we got into the business were matte surface. And as the dynamic range on cameras increased, in the 50s and 60s, the dynamic range on a video camera was very, very low. And the blackest black it could reproduce was a matte black. Then as the dynamic range grew, so we had to come up with, actually it was NASA, or the precursor to NASA, I forget their name,
Yeah.
California. They said, can you come up with a test chart? We don't want to take your backlit systems, we can't take them into space, but we want a high dynamic range chart, and the matte charts just aren't cutting it. So we came up with the idea of a highly glossy chart, a shiny surface, because that could give us 2 or 3 extra f-stops over the matte chart. Of course you get reflections, but you can kill the reflection by just tipping the chart. Well, I guess the 2 big ones, the Canada Award for Business Excellence, but the one even bigger than that is the Fuji Gold Medal. This is this fellow here, which they've only awarded 16 in the world. We're the only Canadians. It's really heavy. This is for the work we did in sort of standards for television. But we got the name, actually we were in California.
Oh, Balboa Island, there's a pain du monde.
There was a creme du monde, that's right.
Pain du monde?
Pain du monde, bread, bread of the world, breads of the world. And we thought, because the colors came from Europe,
The 709.
the 709 colors, we thought, well, that would be appropriate to call it colors of the world. The various parts of the chroma du monde are the grayscale, which produces a nice crossed linear grayscale on a waveform monitor. We have the colors, which has the primary colors that fall in the vectorscope boxes, only when the camera is reproducing accurately. So you know just how good or bad your setup is. Then you have all the in-between colors, which form a nice hexagonal around the prime boxes. Then we have in the corners, we have the resolution for checking the corner resolution on on your lenses and cameras. This one doesn't have it, but we have a cavity black, which gives you the ultimate black. The funny thing is that the cavity black is usually very little darker than the gloss black. Consumers, anyway, don't have the vectorscopes and waveforms and so on. So we have come up with a new process where we provide a digital file, which is then, that's going to be the ultimate reference because that is correct. So they will shoot a pattern such as this, we call a Chroma Selfie. Then it comes in all different models, and there's even for printer. So you print the digital file, and then you take the little pattern that we provide, which is absolutely accurate, and then you compare and you try and match your print from your printer. So this is a very simple, and the president of Red Camera, which is, I guess, the foremost camera manufacturer in the world, was very flattering. What did he say? He sent back an email. He said, "This thing is genius." So that gave us sort of confidence, and it does seem to work very, very well. And we see this as the future, because I believe it makes all the existing test charts obsolete, because you also can use it for comparing light sources, and it's a total control system, literally, from the original shoot all the way through to printing or processing or whatever you want to do. The one thing I would like to say, I'm so happy that Sue is with us today, because she is literally 68.5% of the company.
Only 68.5.
Well, actually 70 most of it. But I come up with crazy ideas, and she points out what's crazy in them, and we fix them. And it's been a wonderful partnership, and hope it goes on for a while.